The teddy bear questioned. The afternoon light streamed through the tall glass windows of Sterling Heights corporate tower, painting golden stripes across the polished marble floor. Marcus adjusted his janitorial cart and began his usual rounds on the 15th floor. It was 3 o'clock, the quiet time between lunch meetings and the evening rush, when the hallways emptied and the building seemed to breathe. Marcus had worked as a janitor at Sterling Heights for 2 years now. After Sarah passed away, he'd needed steady work with good benefits for Emma. The mechanic shop he'd owned had been too much to manage alone while raising a 6-year-old daughter, so he'd sold it, taken this job, and learned to find dignity in different work. He pushed his cart past the executive offices, the wheels making soft squeaking sounds against the floor. Most people didn't see him, didn't really look at the man in the navy blue uniform. He'd become part of the background, like the potted plants and the abstract art on the walls. Marcus didn't mind. Invisible meant undisturbed, and undisturbed meant he could think about Emma, about dinner plans, about the simple mechanics of getting through each day. That's when he heard it. A small voice, clear as a bell, echoing down the empty corridor. Where did Mummy go? Marcus stopped, turned around, and saw her. A little girl, no more than 5 or 6 years old, stood in the middle of a hallway. She wore a pale blue dress that seemed to fancy for an ordinary Tuesday, and she clutched a teddy bear against her chest. Her blonde curly hair caught the afternoon light, and her eyes wide and uncertain searched the empty space around her. "Hey there," Marcus said gently, kneeling down to her level. "Are you lost?" The girl nodded, her lower lip trembling slightly. "I was with Mummy. She was in a meeting," she said to wait. "But then I saw a butterfly outside the window and I followed it, and now I don't know where she is." Marcus felt his heart squeeze. She reminded him of Emma at that age, that same mixture of bravery and fear, of trying so hard to be a big girl while still being so small. "That's okay," he said softly. "We'll find her." "What's your name?" "Sophia," the girl whispered. Marcus blinked. Sophia, the same name as the little girl from the broken-down SUV 3 weeks ago. But that seemed impossible. That Sophia's mother had been Jennifer, the woman he'd had coffee with twice since then. The woman whose laugh made him feel like maybe, just maybe, life could surprise you with second chances. "Sophia," Marcus repeated slowly. "Is your mom's name Jennifer?" The little girl's face lit up. "Yes. Do you know my mommy?" Before Marcus could answer, he heard the sharp click of heels against marble. Fast, urgent footsteps. He stood up and turned to see a woman rushing down the hallway, her professional composure cracking with visible panic. It was Jennifer. She wore a crisp white blouse and a dark skirt, her hair pulled back in a way Marcus hadn't seen before. She looked different, hair polished, powerful, every inch the corporate executive. But her eyes held the same fear every parent knows, the terror of a missing child. "Sophia." Jennifer's voice broke with relief as she ran toward them. "Mommy." Sophia launched herself forward, and Jennifer scooped her up, holding her tight. Marcus stood there, suddenly very aware of his janitor's uniform, of the mop in his hands, of the cart behind him with its bottles of cleaning solution and rolls of paper towels. This was Jennifer's world, the executive offices, the corner suites, the realm of important meetings and corporate decisions. He'd known she worked in business. She'd mentioned it over coffee, but he hadn't known she worked here, hadn't known she was one of them, the people who walked past him every day without seeing him. Jennifer held Sophia close, whispering reassurances into her daughter's hair. Then she looked up and saw Marcus, really saw him. Her eyes went wide. "Marcus." "Hi, Jennifer," he said quietly. For a long moment they just looked at each other across the gleaming hallway. The successful CEO and the janitor, the woman in the tailored suit, and the man with the mop. Marcus could see the wheels turning in her mind, could almost hear her trying to reconcile the mechanic who'd fixed her car with the janitor who cleaned her building. Sophia, still in her mother's arms, turned to look at Marcus. Her face broke into a smile of recognition. "It's the car man," she exclaimed. Then she looked at her mother, then back at Marcus, her young mind making connections that adults learned to complicate. "Mummy, is he the one you've been smiling about?" Jennifer's cheeks flushed. But Sophia wasn't finished. She wriggled out of her mother's arms and walked back to Marcus. She held up her teddy bear, as if introducing them. "This is Mr. Buttons," she said solemnly. Then she looked up at Marcus with those wise, innocent eyes. "Are you my new daddy?" The question hung in the air like a held breath. Marcus felt his throat tighten. He glanced at Jennifer, who stood frozen, her professional mask completely gone, replaced by something vulnerable and real. "Sophia, honey," Jennifer said softly, moving closer. "That's not, we can't just..." But Marcus knelt down again, meeting Sophia's gaze directly. "I don't know," he said honestly. "That's a pretty big question. Being a daddy is important work." Sophia nodded seriously. "The most important," she agreed. "My mummy works really hard here. She helps lots of people, but sometimes she's lonely. She tries to hide it, but I can tell." Marcus looked up at Jennifer. She had tears in her eyes now, all pretense stripped away. "I have a daughter too," Marcus said to Sophia. "Her name is Emma. She's 6 years old, and sometimes she asks me questions like that, about whether I'm lonely. Kids are pretty smart about these things, aren't they?" Sophia smiled. The smartest. Marcus stood up slowly. He met Jennifer's eyes across the small distance between them. I didn't know you worked here, he said. I would have told you about my job. I didn't know you worked here either, Jennifer replied. Her voice was steady now. Certain, does it matter? Marcus thought about it. Thought about the distance between their worlds, about the assumptions people made, about the invisible lines that divided people into categories important and invisible, executive and janitor, worth noticing and easily overlooked. Then he thought about coffee at the corner cafe, about Jennifer's laugh, about how she'd insisted on paying the second time, how she'd asked real questions about Emma, about his life, about his dreams, about how she'd seen him, really seen him, before she knew he pushed a cleaning cart through a building every day. No, he said finally, it doesn't matter. Not unless you think it does. Jennifer shook her head, and a tear slipped down her cheek. I hired you, she said with a small, trembling laugh. 2 years ago, I approved every janitor position in this building. I sign off on all the benefits packages. I make sure everyone here is treated fairly, paid well, respected. She took a breath. I just never knew one of them would be you. Plot twist, Marcus said, and despite everything they both laughed. Sophia tugged on Marcus's uniform. So you'll come to dinner, she asked hopefully, with your daughter. Mommy makes really good spaghetti. Marcus looked at Jennifer, really looked at her, not the CEO in the corner office, not the woman with the broken down car, just Jennifer with all her complications and hopes and fears laid bare in a corporate hallway at 3:15 on a Tuesday afternoon. Emma loves spaghetti, he said softly. Jennifer smiled. Genuine and warm and real. Friday night, Marcus agreed. Sophia took his hand and her mother's hand, linking them together. This is going to be good, she announced with absolute certainty. And as Marcus stood there in his janitor's uniform, holding the small hand of a little girl who saw the world more clearly than most adults, he thought maybe she was right. Sometimes the heart knows things the world tries to teach us to ignore. Sometimes a child's question is the bravest thing anyone can ask. And sometimes, the person you're looking for has been there all along, just waiting to be truly seen.